Welcome to Staffing Forward, where we bring together leaders in staffing and recruiting to talk about what's really happening in the industry, how firms are growing, adapting, and staying competitive in a rapidly changing market. Today, I'm very excited about the guest I have. I'm excited to be joined by Mr. Hank Levine. Hank is a global entrepreneur and CEO with deep experience across sales, business development, and scaling companies internationally. He's currently leading BeAdditive Tech, where they are building an AI talent marketplace, helping startups and growing companies build high quality AI teams using flexible offshore talent. Hank, welcome to the show. It's great to have you. And one thing you said in your background was if we could ask you why you call your initiative Be Additive, but I think I'll get there in a minute. So I'm very excited to know why that is. So welcome, and I'm very excited that you're here. But before we jump into the business, I would love to start with your journey, Hank. You've operated globally and across multiple disciplines. What led you into building something like the Additive Tech?
Thank you, first of all, Geraldine. Very excited to be on your podcast. And yeah, as you can see, I'm not one of these 20-something entrepreneurs. I'm an older guy. So I am a serial entrepreneur. I've built lots of companies, and I've actually reinvented myself, I think, in major ways 4 times. So I started my career actually doing fusion energy research. So that's probably something you haven't done in your podcast, and knowing someone who's done that. But after business school, I got involved in some very innovative early stage home automation companies. So you might have heard the term the bleeding edge. The bleeding edge is when you're too early and the market's not ready for what you're doing. But we got a lot of press and did some pretty amazing things actually in the late 80s with voice recognition and touchscreens, way before that technology was really prominent. Then I got involved with a whole bunch of venture capital backed software companies, mostly building back office telecom software. But for the last 20 years, I've been working globally with recruiting companies. So prior to BeAdditive, I grew a pretty large recruiting company. I should say, not I grew it, my team and I grew it. And we had about 950 recruiters. We had 130 clients or so. We worked in 30 countries and we placed great talent all over the world. I started BeAdditive mostly because I wanted to get back into software development. So BeAdditive is a family of companies. We do staffing. We do something called knowledge process outsourcing, where we have subsidiaries in India, in the Philippines. And in our knowledge process outsourcing business, we build teams for companies in Europe and in the US. It could be a team of marketing people, could be software developers, could be back office, could even be recruiters. But we build these teams in India and the Philippines for them. And then we have BeAdditive Tech, which is at a real exciting point because 1 week from now, we're releasing our beta product. So it's going to be called Talentive. You're one of the very first people to know that because we haven't announced the name yet. And Talentive is an AI hiring marketplace. And what we're doing is we're addressing a huge problem in AI, at least for companies that are building AI products. And that is that there's a huge shortage of senior AI talent. Now, I'm not talking about junior talent. Junior talent's actually, there's an oversupply, but the people who can really build products, build teams, understand the industry and the technology, they are in incredibly short demand. So we came up with a really cool solution to let companies build quickly.
Awesome. Wow. I'm so happy that I'm one of the few to hear about some of the secrets, the hidden things that are going to be launched. Thank you. It's interesting, especially the global angle. A lot of staff and leaders we speak with are still trying to figure out how to scale beyond local or regional markets. So kudos to you and your team. You're doing a great job. I was so excited. But let's level set for a moment. In staffing today, we are seeing tight candidate markets, rising cost of talent, pressure on margins, and now the added complexity of AI roles. Hank, from your perspective, what's fundamentally broken in how companies are building AI teams today?
Well, I wouldn't say it's fundamentally broken. It's AI technology is coming at companies faster than any technology in the history of mankind.
Mhm,
All right, so we've obviously seen other major technological disruptions. You can go way back and you just look at when the country changed from being an agricultural company to a country to a industrial country, from industrial to office workers. But all those changes, they happened over decades, right? AI happens over months. And there's so many products, there's so much hype, it's changing so fast. Now you have these hyperscaling AI companies like Anthropic, where almost all the code for Anthropic's models are being built by AI. AI is
mhm,
building AI.
mhm,
And because of that, it the cycles are getting so compressed, things are happening so fast, so companies get very overwhelmed. And I think they intuitively understand the promise. They've all used chatbots like ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini. So they see the power, but they don't really know how to put it into their company.
mhm,
And one of the things that I've noticed really over the last 6 months, I would say 6 months ago, a lot of companies I talked to, there was so much change. It was happening so fast that they just felt paralyzed. They just didn't
mhm,
know where to start, and it was too much. Most of them have now started. I think what a lot of
mhm,
them are discovering is AI can do magical things. What they're producing is a lot more output and not necessarily a lot more profit. And that's
mhm,
because they have their existing processes. These processes were set up for a non-AI world, and they use AI tools that are point solutions for part of their process. And in those point solutions, they get a lot more output because
mhm,
AI is fast. But what they don't know what to do is
mhm,
what do you do with all this output? If you have a company where you have a lot of oversight, and maybe
mhm,
if you generate leads, you have to talk to your manager about each lead or
mhm,
whatever,
mhm,
you don't necessarily go faster. You just have more
mhm,
output. So what
mhm,
companies are starting to figure out now is to
mhm,
really take advantage of AI. You need to re-engineer your end-to-end process with an AI first mentality.
mhm.
It's hard. And particularly when everything inside that is changing so fast. But
Right.
companies are getting it. I don't think a lot of people realize is
Mhm,
if AI were a baseball game, we're in the top of the first inning, the
mhm,
very beginning of it. And it's going so fast. And 5 years we'll look back at this time and it'll be kind of like when you look at the first video games and it looks just so good.
mhm,
They're going to say, I can't believe how hard it is to do all these things. It really must have been scary. But
mhm.
these companies are smart. They'll figure out how to make it easy and it'll get embedded into products and AI will become more and more invisible to people. It'll just be how things work.
Okay, that's awesome. Awesome. I like that. I want to move to a topic. Okay, why AI is talent is different. So AI talent isn't like traditional roles. It's specialized, and from what I just heard you say, it's specialized, and sometimes it comes across as expensive and hard to access. What are companies getting wrong when they try to hire AI teams? I
Okay.
really want.
So this comes back to kind of the general question, is AI going to create jobs or destroy jobs? And the first
Mhm.
point is that AI doesn't do jobs. AI does tasks, and jobs are comprised of tasks. So if you have a
Yeah.
job that's comprised of very simple, repetitive tasks, there's a very good likelihood that very soon, if not already, your job will get replaced by AI because
Mhm.
AI works 24 hours a day and it's relatively inexpensive. However,
Mhm.
AI is also creating a lot of new jobs in oversight, in management of AI tools. And so it's not really clear at this point if AI will destroy jobs or create jobs. The data doesn't really support that overall it's destroying jobs. There are certain types of jobs that the
Mhm.
data does support are being replaced, like entry-level programmers
Mhm.
and some entry-level analyst jobs are being
Mhm.
replaced, but the
Mhm.
supervisory roles in tech companies that are being created at the same time. The point is that you just have to look at this differently. I would say for
Mhm.
it's amazing if you look at position descriptions,
Mhm.
the job orders that come out by all companies, 75% of them now ask for AI skills. And so the first thing I might recommend is if you don't
Mhm.
have AI skills, learn
Mhm.
something and fake it, or you probably won't get hired. And then after you get
Right.
a job after you faked it, you better learn it.
Okay, that's really cool. Yeah, I like that. So are they, let me throw a couple of questions into my previous one. Are they over hiring full-time too early for AI, or are they misjudging skill levels?
But I think if you look at tech companies, it's pretty
Mhm.
clear that tech companies during COVID were just hiring like nuts. And almost all of them way overhired. It almost just became this competitive battle just to hire anyone that could code. And
Mhm.
and so things have dramatically changed.
Mhm.
Now, I think one of the reasons you're seeing layoffs in tech companies is because they did way overhire, but there's
Yeah.
also so much coding that's being done by AI that they need a
Mhm.
lot fewer developers. So the whole thing with coding and AI,
Mhm.
I'm around it every day, but it still blows my mind. All right.
Yeah.
So as I think I mentioned in the intro,
Mhm.
I started a bunch of venture capital backed software companies, and this is back a
Mhm.
little over 20 years ago. And we had
Mhm.
big teams of developers. Now,
Mhm.
if you look at what we're doing for our Talentive platform, which is a
Mhm.
pretty sophisticated application, we have
Mhm.
a team of 4 people. And
Mhm.
if I did this 20 years ago, we would have had 25 people. And
Right.
they're vibe coding. So in vibe coding, you basically give prompts, you talk to your computer in English,
Mhm.
and then you look at the other screen and
Mhm.
it just starts coding away.
Mhm.
And I asked one of our developers today, if you're making a simple change to the code, do you just go in and go to the code and change it? And he
Mhm.
goes, no, I talk to cursor. And cursor, I give it, I have a discussion with it. I make it very clear that it understands exactly what I want, so it doesn't change
Mhm.
anything else. And then I set it loose and it makes the changes. That way,
Mhm.
the whole code base is kept consistent. That,
Mm.
that is so incredibly different.
Completely different.
I'll give you another example. I told you we're
Okay.
doing our beta release of Talentive next Monday.
Mm.
And so I
Oh,
was
okay.
looking at it like 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
I noticed that the capitalization on the screens wasn't consistent, right?
Mm.
Maybe not that important, but I think you need to really be nitpicky and it matters. And so I told that to our head developer, and I pointed out 3 or 4 cases, and also, a couple cases there were periods, and other cases there weren't periods. So there were things around capitalization and punctuation.
Mhm.
And so he uploaded this 16-page style guide for SaaS
Mhm.
products right in the
Mhm.
cursor, right through Claude. And in half an hour, it fixed everything in the whole application. It just
Oh,
fixed it all. And I knew you could do stuff like that, but when you watch it actually happening, it's,
magic.
it's pretty astonishing.
Oh, wow. As my daughter will call it magic.
Yeah.
AI magic. So is speed the biggest issue when it comes to the new world of AI talent acquisition?
It's well, so there's talent acquisition, there's AI in general.
Yeah.
Right? So I think speed is a big benefit. You can have discussion with AI, and it's
Yeah.
very creative and it's great for brainstorming. And it so it's not just speed,
Mhm.
it's quality.
Quality.
And it's if you're a company where you
Mhm.
might have before you would have a lot of specialists. AI is a specialist in almost everything.
Mhm.
All right, so it can do user interface, user experience. It can
Mhm.
do full stack development. It does, and the reason AI is so good at coding, and I'm sure you've used chatbots, right? You've used
Yes, yes,
ChatGPT,
yes.
and you know that
Mhm.
AI with generative AI, you can create language, right? So
Yes.
you can create English, French, Spanish. It'll talk to you in whatever language you want.
Mhm.
It's 100 times better at talking software code because software
Yes.
code is actually a language, but it's more structured. It has more rules than spoken
Mhm.
language. So it's
Mhm.
made for AI. All right. Uh, you know,
Great.
English is kind of tricky. There's a lot of rules to English, but
Right.
software coding is very logical. So
Mhm.
it's just really good at it. That means that
Mhm.
people who don't have computer science background can create applications, good
Mhm.
applications,
Mhm.
and they can create them fast. They can create them with
Mhm.
very small teams, and they're
Mhm.
going to create a lot of companies. Now, the question is,
Mhm.
are these companies going to have a lot of employees, or are they going to be huge companies with just a few employees?
Just a
And
few
I don't, I
employees.
don't, I don't think we know that, but AI is also going to create a lot of new industries. So it's going to
Right.
create things in drug discovery and all kinds of new things, which will
Mhm.
create jobs in healthcare and in other areas.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
I could listen to you all day. Well, I want to pivot to your offshore talent management. So you're solving this through flexible offshore talent. And there's always been a perception of a challenge around offshore quality, communication, reliability. How do you maintain high quality while lowering cost in this?
All right. If you look at the whole global market, the
Hmm.
really simple answer to that is
Hmm.
that there's a lot of people in the world. And even if a small fraction of them are brilliant, that's a lot of brilliant people. So if you limit yourself to hiring in the US, there's for everyone who's really very skilled in the US, if you look at it globally, there's probably 10 more people. And
Hmm.
so, the key to building the best team is to take the best people from everywhere.
Everywhere.
All right.
Hmm.
Now, so let me talk about what we're doing with Talentive. That's our AI hiring marketplace.
Yes.
I'll tell you
Uh-huh.
how that concept came around.
Okay.
All right. So, if you look at, I'm sure you've heard these stories that probably blow your mind about how much money these AI startups are raising.
Hmm.
It's just astonishing amounts of money.
Really?
And when you raise that type of money, your investors don't say, well, okay, take your time. They're right on top of you,
Hmm.
saying, build, build, build. You got to get product out. This market's so competitive. We just gave you all this, hundreds of millions of dollars. Go out and,
Yeah.
and the challenge that these startups have is that it's easy to hire junior talent. Hiring the senior talent, the people who really know how to build product, they understand,
Hmm.
their subject matter experts in the industry, they know how to build teams, they can meet with investors. That level of person is in incredibly short supply. There's just
Hmm.
way, way more demand than supply. And so in addition to that, the compensation demands are phenomenal. All right. So most of the
Hmm.
people that we're talking to, if you hire them in the US, they're making somewhere between three and $500,000 a year,
Mm,
and they're getting
that's
a big
good.
chunk of equity on top of it. And you
Hmm.
find those people if you're able to, and you want to,
Hmm.
and you're willing to pay them that. They usually turn your job down because they want to work for big tech. All right, they'd rather
Yeah.
work for NVIDIA or Google or OpenAI
Hmm. Hmm.
because that's where the action is, that's where the prestige is.
Mm-hmm.
You contrast that where I've been working the last 20 years in all
Mm-hmm.
these countries around the world, placing
Mm-hmm.
technical talent. My last company, we replaced over 28,000 people into senior technical jobs all over the world. So we know the talent's there. We know where it is.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times you find people, particularly in Asia and Latin America, they're
Mm-hmm.
working domestically in their local country. They might even have a PhD. They're very
Mm-hmm.
brilliant. But when you're working domestically in those
Mm-hmm.
countries, your career opportunities are more limited than if you're working in Silicon Valley. And so when they get an opportunity to work with a Silicon Valley company or a leading company in
Mm-hmm.
Europe, they're usually eager to make that jump because one, they get a nice pay bump, typically
Mm-hmm.
30, 40%. And
Mm-hmm.
two, they are really in the thick of the action. It really
Yeah.
builds the personal profile. So they're eager to do it.
Mm-hmm.
The companies that are struggling to hire in Silicon Valley, they can now hire someone in 2 or 3 weeks through our platform, and they can
Mm-hmm.
generally get them for a third to half the cost of paying someone in the US locally. So
Oh.
so it really works for everyone. We have a lot of vetted candidates in our platform. We have a lot of
Mm-hmm.
AI to match
Mm-hmm.
them. We also
Mm-hmm.
have a big human touch. So we have very experienced account managers who get assigned
Mm-hmm.
to every client and they
Mm-hmm.
hold their hand and work them through the whole process. If we don't have the vetted talent already in our marketplace, we'll go out and recruit them.
Oh, I was going to even ask about the difference, how you see marketplace model versus traditional staffing, but I think you just went into that because your model is a marketplace, not traditional recruiting. And also I was going to ask you, well, how is that fundamentally different? But you just answered it.
And,
So
and I
I
think it's really different is the speed. And
Mhm.
look, where our marketplace
Uh-huh.
is very niche, very, very focused. We're focusing on senior AI talent for funded startups, right?
Okay.
Our strategy is a pretty common tech strategy, is to build a
Mhm.
beachhead. We want to be the very, very best in what we're doing in our niche. We want to be recognized for it. We want to have great references, and then we can build other verticals into our marketplace. But
Yeah.
when you have that sort of expertise and you have that sort of focus and it's all
Hmm.
brought together by technology, then you can go
Hmm.
fast.
Wow. So how do you see traditional staffing struggling to keep up?
Traditional staffing will adapt. So here's one of the many messages on AI.
Hmm.
Certainly you heard of Darwinism, right? Survival of the fittest. Darwinism was never survival of the fittest. It was always survival of the most adaptable. Think
Yes.
about a dinosaur. A dinosaur was the most fit animal ever in the world. It was so huge, if it ever had another animal threatening it, it just would eat it, right? But it couldn't adapt to things like climate change. All right. AI is going to compress business cycles. It's going to compress product cycles. They're
Mhm.
going to come faster and faster and faster. The companies that are going to thrive are the ones who can adapt quickly, who build processes, build on AI, build on adaptability.
Mhm.
And the workers who are going to thrive are the same thing. They're going to need to be continuously learning
Mhm.
and continuously adapting
Mhm.
because it's already highly unusual for someone to stay in one job for their whole career. But I
Mhm.
think going forward, you're going to see tenure in companies become even shorter
Yeah.
or more project based. That's both good and bad. So I'll tell you what I think is good and bad because I think it really levels the playing field. All right.
Mm.
It's not going to be where did you go to college? It's going to be the skills you have, how fast you can adapt, and how you can
Mhm.
learn. And
Mhm.
that is kind of the same for everybody.
Mhm.
So the good news is it creates a lot of more opportunity in a fair way.
Right.
The bad news is that if you're going to take advantage of that opportunity, you can't sit on your butt. You
Have
really
to
got
keep
to be,
steady.
you got to be learning all the time. Every day I read about AI. and I
Mm-hmm.
talk to people about AI
Mm-hmm.
because I need to be keeping up with it. It's just part
Right.
of the job. If you aren't doing that, you are going to probably not learn new skills. And in 12 months, 18 months, something will come
Mhm.
along, you'll get replaced. So
Yes.
one of the things I love doing is I talk to a lot of people that are getting people in college, and I will tell you that they're very scared right now. You talk to people
Mm-hmm.
with computer science degrees. These
Mm-hmm.
were people, their mommy and daddy taught them get a computer science degree from a good university, and you'll
Mm-hmm.
have a great job for the rest of your life. And now they're graduating, and some of them can't get any jobs. Maybe
No.
they get one job offer, where before they would get her 6 or 7 job offers. And
Mm-hmm.
so, they're worried. Um, what I tell them is, if all you know how to do is code, AI is probably better at that than you are. And if that's all you can do, you might have a hard time getting the job. So advice number one is learn a second language. The
Mm-hmm.
second language can be
Oh.
humanities, it could be how to sell, it could become an
Mm-hmm.
expert in an industry. But if
Mm-hmm.
you have that, plus you know how to code,
Mm-hmm.
then you are pretty valuable.
Yeah.
The next thing you need to do, and people in computer science usually hate this advice, is you got to get out in the world and network, because jobs aren't going to come to you. They're going to come out to people, and you got to tell them about your second language that you've learned and all
Mm-hmm.
these things that you're fascinated by in the world.
Yeah.
You do that, it's actually not that hard. Go talk to your professors. Your professors all know people in business, and tell them
Mm-hmm.
about your concerns, tell them about your
Mm-hmm.
second language, tell them what you're interested in, and they will
Mm-hmm.
introduce you to people. When you meet people, you can't be lazy. You have to do your homework, and AI is great for it, right? Just go on ChatGPT. You can learn all about the person you're meeting. You can learn all about their company. You can ask
Mm-hmm.
ChatGPT to prepare questions to have a discussion. Don't ask for a job. Just tell them what you're excited about
Mm-hmm.
and offer you a job. They'll probably introduce you to other people and stay in touch with those people. They're
Right.
gold mines. All right. So send them a thank you note every 2 months. Say, hey, I just got a job offer. Thank you so much. You helped me,
Mm-hmm.
everything. Just tell them what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then if you are fortunate enough to have multiple job offers,
Mm-hmm.
don't join a company, don't join a brand, join a boss.
Yes.
Right? So you need to have a boss today who is going to care about developing you, care about
Mm-hmm.
your career, who's going to give you opportunities, particularly opportunities to work with AI tools, isn't going
Yes.
to take credit for the work you're doing. And it's because it's not like you're going to go in a company and you're going to be in that company 20 years later. You got to get bosses who will take care of you. So don't
Yes.
join a boss.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's interesting. And people who are introverts would now have to think twice about some of the courses they need to take to come out and become more charismatic, reaching out all the time, networking.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I love.
It can be scary.
Yeah,
So
it is scary.
you everything with AI, you got to get out of your comfort zone because it is
Hmm.
the future. And
Yes.
there's probably only 20% of jobs that aren't going to be dramatically changed by it. So you might not like that. And I know a
Hmm.
lot of people my age who say, boy, I'm glad I'm retiring. This is overwhelming. That's not my attitude. I love learning it. But I've heard that a lot of times. And
Yes, me too.
and if you're 25 and you're thinking that way, you're in big trouble.
You will make it. Yeah, I love that topic. And I'm sure you'll come back another time to see how we can mold this topic into something bigger for young computer scientists coming up. But I want to ask a little bit about, I want to shift towards the future of staffing firms. So if you were advising a staffing firm owner today, if I was a staffing firm owner and you were advising me, what would you tell me? I must change in the next 12 to 24 months or stay competitive, to stay competitive?
Well, I shortened that to 6 to 9 months. But, but
Okay.
first of all, I think most staffing firms have figured this out. You look at BeAdditive, we came at this from a very good place. All right. My
Mhm,
last company, as I mentioned, we had 950 recruiters. We treated them
mhm,
great. They all
mhm,
wanted to work for us. But we were
mhm,
also recruiting all over in tech and AI. So we knew what was happening. We knew where this was
mhm,
going. And we're only 2 years old. So we built our processes to be AI first from day one.
mhm,
And that means, again, not just adopting AI tools, but really thinking about the output these tools create and how you absorb it and how you scale your company around it.
mhm,
Um, we also have very good experienced recruiters. And so what this meant is that where in the past, 3 years ago, I probably would need to have 3 times as many recruiters as I have today because
mhm,
AI does a lot of the work and the recruiters are really efficient. But
mhm,
when we get more business, it's very easy for us to scale because the
mhm,
AI tools just you can scale them overnight. And
mhm,
people, we know all these people from my last company, so we can hire, additional people quickly. For companies that are legacy companies who all their processes are very established, they might have what's now a bloated team. That's harder because one, they're going to probably, to be efficient, they're going to probably need to cut people.
mhm,
And two, as I said, they can't just keep their processes. They need to redesign them. And that's hard. It's hard in normal times. In AI, it's doubly hard because all the
mhm,
AI technology
mhm,
is changing.
mhm. Yeah.
I'll give you an example from our company. We have a tools
Okay.
assessment team.
Mhm,
So I talk to people all the time and they tell me about these AI tools. And
mhm,
so when I hear about them, I give them to our tools assessment team. I say, look into this. Maybe it's something we can use.
mhm,
So it's not unusual for them to come back to me and say, Hank, this isn't very good. It has bugs. It's missing a feature. We
mhm,
ran a test. The results didn't make any sense. It's just not ready.
mhm,
Then I hear about it and 2 months later, and they hear about it 3 months later. They hear about it, two, three, 4 times. So I say, look at it again. And they look at it again and they say,
mhm,
it's brand new. It's like a brand new company. It's like a brand new product. It has no bugs. It not only has the missing feature, it added two more.
mhm,
Really clever. We ran a test. The results are good. So this stuff is changing weekly, maybe daily. And so one of the things I recommend companies is don't sign long-term contracts with anything that touches AI, because even if it's the best product today, it might not be in 3 months.
Yeah.
And so go month to month, even if you're paying a little bit more, and design processes that, in being AI first, the main thing is it needs to be adaptable. And it has to
Mhm.
always focus on each stage of a process. What can you do if you get more output from that stage?
Yeah.
And and it's a different way of thinking. Usually in the past, the answer is what I do if I get more output from that stage would be I hire more people. In AI, that's usually not the answer.
Mhm. Perfect. Based on what you are seeing, what are companies still leaving the most value on the table when it comes to building AI teams?
This is a lot to absorb. I
Mhm,
pay a lot of attention to it. I find it hard to absorb. And people are busy. People have other things to do besides
mhm,
in their life besides working. And so it takes a lot of discipline and diligence to stay on top of all this and find a way to stay on top of it. So if you're not going to do it yourself, empower someone who loves it to go
Yeah.
do it. But if
Mm,
you don't do it, you're going to get run over.
yes. I like that. That's interesting because one thing we're seeing as well is that a lot of firms have the demand but they don't have the infrastructure or system to actually scale efficiently. And that's where a lot of opportunities and bottlenecks start to show up.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And traditional processes are limited in how they can consume all this technology.
Mhm. Hank, this has been great conversation, but we have to wrap it up. I could listen to you all day, but a very quick one. One trend in staffing that is overhyped. Tell me about one trend in staffing that's overhyped.
One of the things I would tell you is AI is overhyped. It's also underhyped. Right? So there's so much of it coming. There's so much competition in this market. It's so easy to build products with vibe coding, like we talked about, and a lot of these companies just massively overhype what their products can do, which
Mhm,
doesn't mean they won't be very good at it in 6 months or 9 months. But so there's a lot of overhype
mhm,
on that.
mhm,
I think if you look at how people talk about AI in general,
mhm.
there's a whole continuum of how people talk about it. You have the doomers, right, who say no one's going to have a job and we're going to be in a depression forever. I find that very improbable because no prior technological disruptions have worked that way. And basically, if no
Mhm,
one has a job, then there's no one to buy your products, and the AI companies won't be successful either. So they'll find a way to create jobs. But you
mhm,
also have the tech optimists who think everyone's going to work 10 hours a week and we're all going to make so much money and be on vacation.
mhm.
And I don't think that's the case either. So I think it's somewhere,
Okay.
you're going to see people's jobs are going to transform, and the people who
Mhm.
are the most adaptable are going to do the best.
Okay. One thing every CEO should be thinking about right now.
Well, I think we talked about a lot of things on this call, but certainly think about AI or think about what you want to do in retirement.
Absolutely. I like that. I like that answer. All right. Well, thank you so much, Hank. If people want to learn about what you're building at BeAdditive Tech, what is the best way to connect with you?
Okay, as of tomorrow, it's not quite
Ooh.
yet, but as of tomorrow, you can go to mytalentive.com. That'll be a website that'll tell you all about our Talentive hiring marketplace. You can go to beadditivetech.com. You can go to beadditive.com. They'll all take you to the same places. You can certainly go on my LinkedIn profile. And anyone who wants to reach me directly can just email me at hank.levine@beadditive.com.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. And then we could even share some of those information with our listeners. For anyone listening who is building AI teams or trying to scale talent more efficiently, this is definitely a space to watch. And Hank is one of the authorities in this area. And we're going to partner with him, and he's going to come more often when he has the time. He's a very busy man, but we'll be honored to have him again and again. So thank you so much, Hank, for coming, and thank you to our viewers. Thank you so much.